Some daughters inspire pride, Diane Bennett said, lifting her champagne glass high enough for the ballroom lights to catch the diamonds around her wrist. Others just survive. A few guests laughed nervously. Near the back wall, Maya tightened her grip around a paper napkin so hard it tore in half. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. Her sister Olivia sat glowing beneath the crystal chandeliers in a designer gown that probably cost more than Maya's car. Imported white orchids covered every table. An ice sculpture shaped like intertwined swans stood near the dance floor, while waiters carried trays of champagne through the crowd. And all Maya could think about was the final overdue tuition notice still taped to the refrigerator in her apartment. Olivia smirked from her sweetheart table. "Don't look so serious, Maya. Tonight's supposed to be romantic." One of their aunts leaned closer to Maya. "So, are you seeing anyone yet?" Before Maya could answer, Olivia laughed. "Please, Maya married her student loans years ago." More awkward chuckles. Diane took another sip of champagne. Olivia understood what really matters in life. Family. Stability. Building a future. Maya stared at the floor because she already knew what came next. She'd heard versions of it her entire life. When she was 19 and begged her parents for help paying tuition, Diane had looked her dead in the eye and said, "Why waste money on degrees? No man's ever going to choose you anyway." So Maya worked nights at a diner, mornings at the campus library, weekends tutoring freshmen who came from families that actually showed up to graduation ceremonies. And earlier that same afternoon, Maya had graduated top of her class completely alone before driving 3 hours straight to Olivia's $90,000 wedding reception in a borrowed dress. Diane raised her glass again. Some investments pay off. Across the room, Ethan Carlisle, the groom, stopped smiling. Maya noticed it immediately. Unlike everyone else, he wasn't laughing. His eyes moved from Diane to Olivia, then finally to Maya. Sharp, focused, like he'd just realized something. Maya swallowed hard and quietly stepped backward toward the exit before anyone noticed her tearing up. But just as she reached the ballroom doors, "Actually," Ethan said suddenly, standing from his chair, "there's something everyone here should probably know first." The room went silent. Diane's smile faltered for the first time all night, and Maya turned slowly as Ethan reached for the microphone. Maya's phone buzzed against the diner counter at 11:43 p.m. Then again, and again. She didn't need to look to know it was her mother. "Table 6 needs coffee," her manager called. "I got it." Maya grabbed the pot with one hand while balancing a highlighted finance textbook under her arm. Her certification exam was in 4 days, and she'd already been awake nearly 19 hours. Another buzz. Finally, she checked the screen. "Diane, don't forget flower setup tomorrow." "Diane, least you can do after everything we've done for you." "Diane, your sister only gets married once." Maya stared at the messages for a long moment before locking the phone again. "Family?" one of the regular customers asked gently. Maya forced a smile. "Something like that." By the time she got home after midnight, her father had already left a voicemail. "You know how important this wedding is to your mother," he said tiredly. "Just try not to make things difficult." The next afternoon, Maya drove to the Bennett house with barely 3 hours of sleep. The driveway was packed with florist vans and delivery crews. Inside, workers carried towering arrangements of white roses through the foyer, while Olivia sat on the couch filming TikToks about bridal stress. "I told them ivory, not pearl ivory," Olivia complained dramatically. "For $12,000, the flowers should at least listen to me." Diane noticed Maya carrying supply boxes through the front door and immediately frowned. "You're late. I came straight from work." And yet Olivia still manages to look presentable. Maya set the boxes down quietly. Diane's eyes drifted toward Maya's discount store shoes. Honestly, Maya, this is why your sister has opportunities. She knows how to carry herself. Something inside Maya tightened. Later, alone in the kitchen, she finally asked the question she'd spent years swallowing. Why was there always money for Olivia but never for my college? Diane barely looked up from the seating chart in her hands. Because Olivia had potential. Maya's throat burned. And me? This time Diane did look at her. Cold. Certain. You were always going to end up alone anyway. Silence filled the kitchen. Maya glanced toward her father, hoping just once he'd say something. He lowered his eyes instead. That hurt worse. An hour later, Maya loaded empty catering crates into her trunk, determined not to ask her family for another thing as long as she lived. That was when a black luxury SUV pulled into the driveway. Ethan Carlisle stepped out. He loosened his tie as he approached the house, then stopped when he saw Maya struggling with two heavy boxes. Here, he said immediately. I've got those. You don't have to. It's fine. Together they carried the boxes toward the garage in awkward silence. You're Maya, right? Ethan asked. She nodded carefully. His expression shifted slightly. Maya Bennett? Something in his tone made her pause. You know me? I think I've seen your name through. Maya. Olivia yelled from inside the house. Can you stop disappearing every 5 seconds? Maya stepped back immediately. I should go. As she turned toward her car, she overheard Ethan speaking to Diane near the doorway. I noticed another transfer tied to the wedding accounts, he said. Diane answered too quickly. Everything's handled. Maya reached for her car door, then heard Ethan call after her. Wait, you're that Maya Bennett? The auditorium erupted into applause as Maya walked across the graduation stage. Summa cum laude, the dean announced. Maya accepted the award with shaking hands and forced herself to smile for the camera flashes. Rows of families stood cheering around her. Flowers, balloons, tears. But the 2 empty seats she'd saved for her parents stayed empty until the ceremony ended. Outside, graduates crowded together for photos while Maya sat alone on a concrete bench checking her phone. No congratulations, no missed calls, just Olivia's newest social media post. 37 uploaded photos from wedding rehearsals. Her mother had captioned them, "My beautiful daughter's perfect weekend." Maya stared at the screen for several seconds before locking it. Then her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost ignored it. Maya Bennett? A calm voice asked after she answered. Yes? It's Ethan Carlisle. I need to speak with you before tonight. Her stomach tightened instantly. An hour later, Maya stepped into a downtown office building overlooking the city skyline. She expected awkward personal drama. Instead, Ethan spread several financial documents across a conference table. His tone turned professional immediately. I hired your consulting firm 3 months ago. Maya blinked. What? I was reviewing wedding expenditures and family account transfers. Your name appeared on multiple audit reports. She moved closer to the table, then froze. Because she recognized the files. Vendor invoices, account summaries, payment discrepancies she'd flagged weeks earlier during overnight contract work. Only now she noticed the names attached to them. Bennett Holdings, Olivia Bennett, Diane Bennett. Maya slowly looked up. These are my family's accounts? Ethan nodded grimly. There are duplicated invoices, missing deposits, and money moving between businesses without documentation. He slid another folder toward her. Someone manipulated payment records. Maya flipped through the pages faster now, her pulse rising. I didn't know these belonged to them, I believe you. Then why are you showing me this? Because I needed someone competent to verify what I was seeing. Ethan leaned back heavily, and because I didn't want to accuse Olivia without proof. Maya looked down at the paperwork again. Thousands of dollars. Then tens of thousands. Missing. Shifted. Hidden. Before she could process it, the office door slammed open. Olivia stormed inside, still wearing part of her rehearsal makeup. There you are. Her eyes landed on Maya instantly. And hardened. Oh my God, Olivia snapped. You actually are trying to ruin this wedding. Employees outside the glass walls looked up immediately. Maya stood. That's not what's happening. Please. Olivia laughed sharply. You've been jealous of me your entire life. Ethan stepped between them. Olivia, stop. She ignored him completely. You couldn't stand one weekend not being about you, could you? Maya's face burned as nearby staff pretended not to listen. Then Olivia noticed the papers scattered across the table. Her expression changed instantly. Fear. Real fear. She lunged forward and grabbed a stack of documents. Olivia, Ethan said sharply. She backed away, clutching the papers against her chest. Give those back. No. Ethan's voice dropped lower now. Controlled. Dangerous. Why are there forged vendor signatures connected to your mother's accounts? Olivia froze completely. The room went dead silent. Then, barely above a whisper, she said, You weren't supposed to look that closely. Maya sat in her car outside the wedding venue for nearly 10 minutes without moving. Through the windshield, she could see florists rushing through the entrance carrying replacement centerpieces, while valets jogged between luxury cars. Everything looked polished from the outside, but after yesterday, she knew it wasn't. Her phone rang again. Ethan. You're here? He asked immediately. Maya glanced toward the building. I'm not sure this is a good idea. I need you inside, he said. There are things you deserve to know. His tone made her stomach drop. Inside the venue, the atmosphere felt nothing like the glamorous reception guests would eventually see. A caterer argued with an event manager near the ballroom doors. We still haven't received the final transfer. The caterer snapped. You were promised payment this morning, the planner hissed back. Across the lobby, Olivia screamed at a makeup artist for being 10 minutes behind schedule while Diane marched between staff members, insisting everything was completely handled. The second Diane spotted Maya, her face tightened. What are you doing here? Before Maya could answer, Ethan stepped beside her. I asked her to come. That only made Diane more irritated. Ethan led Maya down a quieter hallway toward a private conference suite. Once the door closed behind them, he placed a thick financial binder on the table. I finished tracing the transfers last night. Maya slowly sat down. Ethan opened the binder. Page after page revealed forged contracts, hidden account movements, unpaid vendor balances, and loans buried beneath shell business expenses. They've been shifting debt for over a year, Ethan said quietly, mostly to maintain appearances. Maya stared at Olivia's name repeated across luxury purchases and private account withdrawals. Then Ethan turned one final page, and everything inside Maya seemed to stop. Educational trust, Maya Bennett, initial balance, $84,000, withdrawn over 6 years, closed. Her breathing became shallow. No, she whispered. Ethan nodded grimly. Your college fund existed. Diane liquidated it gradually. Maya kept staring at the numbers. Tuition notices. Night shifts. Falling asleep in library bathrooms between classes. All while that money paid for designer handbags, destination deposits, and wedding installments. She told me there was never anything saved. Maya said softly. Before Ethan could answer, the conference room door burst open. Diane. Her eyes immediately locked onto the binder, then onto Maya. You unbelievable little traitor. Maya stood slowly. You used my college fund. Diane pointed toward Ethan. You turned him against this family because you couldn't stand your sister being happy. That money was supposed to be for school. Diane scoffed. And what would it have changed? Olivia actually had a future. Something inside Maya finally snapped. You let me work double shifts while my tuition fund paid for flower walls? Her voice echoed loud enough into the hallway that several nearby relatives turned toward the open doorway. Diane's expression darkened instantly. You always wanted attention. No, Maya shot back. I wanted parents. The silence hit hard. Then another interruption came from outside. A frantic wedding planner rushed toward the room. Mrs. Bennett, the venue manager says services stop immediately unless the outstanding balance is resolved now. Olivia appeared behind her, mascara already streaking down her face. What do you mean stop? She demanded. The transfers bounced overnight. Panic spread across Olivia's face as guests began arriving in the lobby beyond them. Ethan closed the financial binder calmly. Then he picked it up and walked toward the ballroom entrance. Diane hurried after him in horror. If you do this, she yelled, the wedding is over. The ballroom quieted the second Ethan took the microphone from Diane's hand. Guests looked around in confusion as the musicians slowly stopped playing. Diane forced out a strained laugh. Ethan, now isn't the time, yes, he interrupted calmly. It is. Olivia stood frozen near the head table, gripping the sides of her wedding dress so tightly the fabric wrinkled beneath her hands. Maya remained near the back of the room where she'd been standing all night, suddenly aware that every eye in the ballroom had shifted toward the stage. Ethan placed the thick financial binder beside the champagne glasses. I can't continue this wedding, he said, without addressing serious financial deception. Murmurs spread instantly through the crowd. One of Diane's business associates lowered his drink slowly. Another guest pulled out her phone beneath the table. Olivia's voice cracked. Ethan, please don't do this here. But Ethan continued. Over the last several months, vendors connected to this wedding reported unpaid balances and forged approvals. I hired independent financial analysts to review the transactions. Diane immediately pointed toward Maya. This is her doing, she snapped. She's always hated this family. Maya flinched as heads turned toward her again, but Ethan shut it down immediately. Maya had no idea these accounts belonged to her family when she processed the reports. His voice sharpened. She handled the investigation professionally despite what's been done to her. Diane's face paled. Ethan opened the binder. The missing funds were traced back to an educational trust originally created for Maya Bennett. The room went dead silent. Maya's father looked up sharply from his seat. What? Ethan turned several pages for the guests nearest the stage to see. The account was gradually drained over multiple years to cover luxury purchases, business debt, and wedding expenses. Maya's father stared at Diane in disbelief. You told me the college account underperformed, he said quietly. Diane's composure finally cracked. She wasn't going to use it properly anyway. A few guests exchanged stunned looks. Diane gestured wildly toward Olivia. Olivia had opportunities. Maya never did. The cruelty in her voice landed harder than the confession itself. Several relatives physically recoiled. Maya felt something strange then. Not shock, not even sadness anymore. Just clarity. Across the ballroom, Olivia suddenly turned toward her mother. You told me everything was handled, she whispered. Diane snapped back instantly. Because you needed this wedding. No, Olivia said, tears spilling freely now. You needed everyone to think we were perfect. For the first time all night, they weren't standing together. Ethan slowly removed his wedding ring. The tiny sound of metal hitting the table somehow echoed through the entire ballroom. I can survive debt, he said to Olivia quietly. I can't build a life on lies. Olivia broke down completely. Around the room, the collapse spread fast. The venue manager approached the bar staff and service stopped immediately. Musicians packed their instruments in silence. Guests began gathering purses and jackets while whispering spread table to table. Diane tried chasing after relatives, insisting there had been misunderstandings. but nobody wanted to be associated with her anymore. Not after hearing where the money came from. Especially not the part about Maya. Within weeks, rumors about Diane's financial misconduct spread through her business circle. 2 major clients cut ties with her company. Several extended family members stopped speaking to her entirely. Olivia moved out of state less than 6 months later after bankruptcy filings connected her to hidden personal debt tied to the wedding expenses. Maya's father eventually visited Maya alone. He looked older than she remembered. "I should have asked more questions," he admitted quietly. Maya accepted the apology, but she never fully let him back into her life. As for Ethan, he submitted a formal recommendation to Maya's consulting firm describing how she maintained professional integrity even after discovering the fraud involved her own family. That recommendation changed everything. Within 2 years, Maya paid off the rest of her student debt completely and accepted a senior financial analyst position she once thought was impossible to reach. The final time Diane attempted to contact her, Maya didn't answer. She no longer needed approval from people who only valued appearances. A year later, Maya stood inside a small community center during the launch of a scholarship foundation she personally funded for students whose families refused to support their education. A nervous college freshman approached her afterward. "I'm working 2 jobs right now," the student admitted. "Sometimes I feel like maybe none of it's worth it." Maya smiled gently. Then she said the one thing she wished someone had told her years earlier. "Your future isn't determined by who chooses you." And for the first time in her life, Maya stopped asking her family to see her worth and built a life where everyone else already could.